There are moments in life where everything feels perfectly balanced, like the world is only operating on smooth gears. I am Claire Thompson, a 28-year-old woman living in a charming little town called Maplewood, Illinois. My life seems content on the surface. I have a decent job at a local marketing firm, a cozy apartment filled with plants that I love tending to, and friendships that offer me laughter and comfort. Yet I sometimes feel an unsettling itch beneath the surface, an unsettling thought that things could all come crashing down without warning. I have always been known for my empathy, my ability to see the beauty in people, and how those qualities often lead me to give others the benefit of the doubt. I suppose that is what drew me to Aaron, my boyfriend of 4 years. He was charming, funny, and seemed to have everything figured out. I loved him with my entire heart. But it was not long before cracks started to form in our relationship, starting with late-night conversations that turned into embarrassing silence every time I asked about his day. There was always an eerie chill in the air when I would mention our future, but I kept brushing those feelings aside, convincing myself that we were just busy with life. Just last week, my world took an unexpected turn. I was sitting at my kitchen table, sipping my coffee and scrolling through my phone when I accidentally stumbled upon a piece of information that shook me to my core. I found an email from Aaron's account, carelessly left open thanks to a chaotic afternoon. The subject line caught my attention: "Can't wait to see you again." My heart raced as I clicked on the message. To my disbelief, I read through fond words meant for someone else. The intimacy in his words was undeniable, and I felt my heart shatter to powder. The name at the end of the email was one I did not recognize, and as each word sank in, a storm of emotions deluged me. Betrayal, anger, sadness, jealousy, it all swirled into a chaotic frenzy. I wanted to confront him, shake him until he admitted the truth, but emotions clouded my judgment. Instead, I sat there trembling, my fingers hovering over my phone, and then I saw something else that made me stop. While I was going through the rest of his emails, I discovered a password reset request for Facebook that led directly to the side piece. I took a deep breath, feeling a rush of adrenaline. I could log in, I could uncover the depths of their conversations, and maybe even confront them both. The satisfaction of revenge sparked a light within me, igniting a fire I could not ignore. I wanted to know every detail. I wanted to expose her, make her realize the destruction she had caused. And so, while the lump in my throat grew heavier, I seized the opportunity. I reset her password and quickly logged into her Facebook account. What I discovered made my blood boil even more. She flaunted her relationship with Aaron in a way I had never imagined, sharing photos of their time together, sweet texts, and even plans for their future. My heart hurt at the betrayal, but my determination grew stronger. I created a plan. I would not only expose her but shut her down entirely. This was not just about Aaron. This was about protecting myself from the humiliation that threatened to engulf me. I spent hours crafting the perfect response she would receive once I completed my mission. With each click of the mouse, I felt the swirling chaos in my chest settle into focused resolve. I decided to take over her account, to smear a digital mask over her existence and erase her from it completely. Inspired by a rush of adrenaline, I began by posting on her timeline as if I were her. I added messages laced with sarcasm and bitterness, leading her friends to question her loyalty. I unveiled her secrets, her lies, and opened a discussion that painted her in the worst light possible. The thrill of it surged through me. The more I did, the more I relished the chaos. I unfriended her closest allies and sent them messages with screenshots of her chats with Aaron. I could picture the stunned faces as they read, the rising curiosity overlapping with disbelief. Their loyalty was torn, and I could almost taste the bitter fruit of my revenge. I felt invincible, as if I had found the power that had been stripped away from me. But beneath that bravado, a tiny voice whispered caution. It reminded me that revenge often turns back on one, drawing havoc into one's own life. I brushed it aside. This was too sweet, too satisfying. I continued my quest for vengeance until the next day arrived, bringing with it an unexpected wave of repercussions. As I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing incessantly on the nightstand, I hesitated to answer. I felt an inkling of dread. I scooped it up and instantly regretted it. Text messages bombarded my screen from friends, each offering their sympathies or their updates on the situation. The woman I had targeted was reeling, and as I scrolled through the messages, I felt something terribly wrong. I had been reckless. I could barely breathe as I realized I had crossed a line I never intended to breach. I felt guilty, ashamed, and regretful, and yet I could not bring myself to stop. The thrill of the revenge had morphed into a monster I could not contain and proved dangerously intoxicating. The worst blow came shortly after when Aaron texted me, asking to meet. My heart raced as I stared at the screen, fear creeping in as I prepared myself for the confrontation I had sought but now dreaded. What would I say? What could I tell him? Instead of expressing the anger I had originally held against him, all I could feel was anxiety creeping in like a thick fog. I had sought to set him straight, but was I truly prepared to face him now? I agreed to meet, still shaking with uncertainty. When he arrived, I could see the worry etched on his face, the tension bursting between us like an uninvited guest. He picked nervously at his shirt, and as he started to speak, I could hear the sincerity in his voice. He talked about how he had been feeling trapped recently, and before long, he mentioned a misunderstanding regarding how some relationships seemed to breathe in their own separate air. I felt my heart squeeze painfully as the scenes played out in my mind. Behind the mist of my fury, I reminded myself that I had attacked his lover in the most humiliating way possible, and that it could easily backfire. I felt exposed. I thought briefly about telling him everything, but hesitated once more, unsure and teetering on the brink of an emotional cliff. But as we continued to talk, I could feel the walls inching away. I wanted nothing more than to reclaim the solid foundation we had built upon. Admitting my own wrongdoing was terrifying, yet as I looked up and met his gaze, I finally gathered all the courage I could summon. I told him the truth about what I had discovered, about the betrayal and my subsequent actions. Aaron listened quietly, his expression morphing into a combination of shock and regret. His hand reached out to me, and as I gripped it tightly, I felt the unsteady connection of our love yearn to pull us closer. The world outside continued to spin, but I felt my heart soften. I could not change what had happened, but this moment felt like the first step in healing. Hours passed as we unfolded our tangled strands, revealing our scars, our flaws, and the truth that brought us together. We learned from this pain, finding a new depth in our connection, one formed not merely of the sunny moments, but also of shared struggles. The fallout was real, and as the storm began to settle, I felt the remnants of that chaos starting to fade into the distance. In the days that followed, I chose to break away from the toxicity I had invited into my life, both the revenge and the pain it caused. As I set boundaries and distanced myself from the tumultuous cycle, I found clarity in forgiveness. I extended that forgiveness not just to Aaron but to myself. The process was intricate and took time, like weaving a new tapestry made of both dark and light threads. Weeks later, I came across an unexpected message from mutual friends, sharing that the other woman had unleashed her own chaos. She was bewildered and losing support from those she had held close. In those moments, I felt a bittersweet satisfaction with my past actions. At the same time, I realized it was not my place to take joy in another's suffering. I finally closed that chapter, learning that revenge may feel powerful, but it often reduces us to the very things we detest. Closure came in the form of a letter I wrote, revealing the thoughts I could not share about my challenges and my own regrets. I placed it in a box meant for mementos, sealed tight to keep the lessons learned inside. Today, I find myself in a different state. While the roots of my journey have not vanished, I've grown stronger through the storm. Even on the hard days, I have a burgeoning optimism, and that little itch I sometimes felt has transformed into a deep sense of resilience. I have chosen to live with intention and authenticity, steering clear of revenge-driven actions, understanding that the true path leads to growth instead. As I look outside my window, I see the world bustling with life, and I feel that same life pulsating within me, ready to take on the rest of my story.